Alright guys, just want to do a little, status update on AMC GME and kind of a squeeze update as well. Just kind of see where we're at. A lot of things have changed since I've done any kind of video. Um, we've got a lot of stuff going on over in Ukraine and Russia, and I just, man, my heart just breaks for the Ukrainian people. Um, yeah, I think there's just so much going on, and there's a lot that we are just unaware of. For one, we're not over there. I'm not over there. I don't know exactly what's going on. I think there's a lot of stuff. It's pretty easy for me to see based on a lot of the media narratives that there's a lot of stuff that's probably not getting reported on, and information's hard to find. Um, so it's a good info. That's the problem. Really good info. So I'll just leave it at that. But one of the I'm going to kind of intertwine those two events because they are actually very intertwined. So you have the Russian stock exchange, their currency, all that stuff's going to go down the tubes. But the way that internally Russia is made up is they're very reliant on oil. They own a lot of it, whereas everybody buys from them. And I'm thinking a lot of guys on Wall Street probably saw this coming. They probably went long on oil, and they're going to use that as a way uh, to deleverage off of other assets that went into the toilet. But it's probably not like the water, like they got out at the right time, when everything's even, like, they're even on the stuff that went down. They probably lost a ton on that, and they'll try to make it back on as oil goes up. That'll be the new bull market. Which this is, I mean, this is, it's just the cycle of things, sadly. Um, but as there are certain, I believe some of these funds, what I'm paying attention to for AMC, GME, and any of these meme stocks is liquidity, and that is what makes a squeeze play. I'm not in any way, shape, or form advocating a squeeze out of a war. I think that's gross. I'm just saying that as a result of money will get harder and harder, liquidity will get more and more difficult to come by. It will be less and less of it, and then you have high negative, long-term negative beta stocks, high short interest stocks. Those funds will begin to get more and more pressured to return shares. And I don't think anybody in Wall Street, I don't think anybody in the government wants it. I think it's that bad. I think the status with AMC GME, based on what's going on at this point, we have the government, they've been involved probably for some time, and I think they are just kicking the can down the road so that investors will just leave. And or even if they did at this point, I don't know if they could settle everything out, because you have two sides of a transaction. You have the broker dealer side on retail, where you have a bunch of IOUs, probably billions of IOUs out there floating around. And then you've got the hedge fund side, where it's possible that they shorted shares that did not exist. So there's two sides of this. There's really not even one coin, there's two coins. And then there's a side for each. And there's both open-end, unclosed positions for each of those, which makes this something that can't go away. They're just trying to delay it till the inevitable. But I have a feeling that this could be the last. This is like they're going to drag this thing out until there is nothing left. That's just my personal opinion. I have no real basis for that, but that is what seems to be going on. This is the final straw. When there's nothing left, there's no other rooms to hide, there's nothing else for them to grab onto monetarily. All the liquidity's gone. Then you'll see these AMC GMEs and all these other meme stocks. Then they'll finally run. But that's like the dying breath of the guys that shorted these things into oblivion. They'll just be out of time and out of money because their motto really is just one more day. I think that's for a lot of them because they might have another chance to get out or something else might turn in their favor the next day. So that's how they run things. I don't think that there's any way out of this for them. So I'm personally, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm very comfortable in my position in these stocks, even though they've gone down. I mean, yeah, I've been butchered as far as my portfolio average because I had high averages, but I just don't care anymore. It just doesn't bother me. One other thing I will say about Russia and the war in Ukraine is I've been in IT long enough to I've been studying, I guess, data breaches, and that you really to understand data breaches, you want to understand. I don't know how to like, I'm not some like white hat hacker or anything. I'm not an expert on that, but I have studied it a lot, and there are serious things that could go on with the war between Russia and Ukraine is if Putin decides to extend his reach beyond Ukraine, which I think is very likely at this point. That's just speculation, but is the possibility of cyber warfare. I think it's a very real possibility, and it's something they've already used in Ukraine and other surrounding countries. They've tested it; it works. I don't think they're going to use it, or personally don't think that they're going to use a lot of cyber warfare in Ukraine to the extent that they will use it in other countries. But cyber warfare is different than a cyber attack. This is just me kind of spitballing here. But typically, when you get a cyber attack, we think of ransomware. We think of a virus. You would think of like a DDoS or distributed denial of service attack. It's very common. It happens all the time. Or you get some kind of high-level data breach, the Office of Personal Management, all kinds of other stuff. Years ago, they had all kinds of file leaks from foreign nations were leaking all kinds of data. The big Sony attack years ago. I mean, and those were like data breaches and stuff like that. Cyber warfare is completely different. It is the capabilities and the goals of cyber warfare are different because you're not wanting to hostage. You're not holding anybody hostage. You're not holding data hostage. Nobody cares. There's no ransom needed. Like I'm not gonna for a warfare objective would be completely different. It is to take out your virtual objective. And the tactics and the coding, everything's different. And the objective is to take out the opponent's infrastructure and equipment. So we're right there. We're already at a completely different basis. And as all of us that trade and really anybody, everything is digital. Your money is completely digital. You can't go to the bank and take out, like if you have 100 grand in the bank, you can't go to the bank and take out 100 grand cash. They don't have it there at the bank. So, and if you don't have a record of that, then that's a serious problem. And I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just a realist. I've been watching this stuff long enough to know that, at this point in the game, cyber warfare is probably on the table at a later point. I don't think it is right now, but we'll just see what happens. The only way to really deal with that on my end is I'm going to have to back up on my junk, meaning all my brokerage statements, uh, mortgages, banking, any financial statements. I'm going to have hard copies, paper copies, digital copies. Any digital copies I'm going to put into um, a Faraday cage. I'm going to build one, just like a homemade Faraday cage, which a Faraday cage is immune to EMPs. So, um, and I think EMPs in conjunction with cyber warfare is probably a pretty real, in today's world, is probably a real threat. And cyber warfare, to me, just conjecture, is there's a good possibility if for possible Stone Age like situations in the area that it affects, especially if they use an EMP, because none our civilian stuff isn't immune to an EMP is an electromagnetic pulse, and they can directionalize it, which is devastating. And that was a big thing years and years ago. Um, Back when I was reading about it, probably like 2005 to 2010. That was a pretty real threat, but the effects are devastating because anything that's hooked up to a battery is just gone. Anything that's electronic, gone. Um, Blows all the capacitors. Basically, for computers, any over voltage, like there's lots of little micro circuits, and for all of our equipment, anything computer related, any over voltage for the circuit can blow the circuit, and you don't need a lot. That's why static is so bad. So I'll leave it at that. That's not too much, stock related stuff, but the stock market runs off of highly advanced computers that are not likely immune to EMPs or cyber warfare or anything like that. And I want to keep my money, or at least try to. If something ridiculous like that was to happen. But either way, guys, I'm just watching and waiting for the guys that shorted these stocks to for their liquidity to dry up, and I'm here to for the long haul, whatever that is. Um, I don't really I don't really pay attention to the chart anymore. I haven't paid attention to any of the new rules because it's kind of just fugazi. It doesn't matter. But I'm here. I'm still in it and I'm not leaving. So if you guys have any questions or comments, I'm not here to. The last thing I want to do is get any kind of political debate or any kind of you know warmongering or anything like that. I'm just kind of trying to just share what's on my mind, and I like the stock. Either way, see you guys. Have a good night.